the Midwest. Houston and Tennessee, I'm going to go ahead and push them through unless anyone has any objections.
SIU's losing by, or SIUE is losing by 20 probably.
They may not even score 50 points.
Yeah, they may not even score the ball in that one. That's kind of a rough matchup for them.
Watch them upset Houston now because we're saying all this. That'd be the biggest.
Yeah, that would be something. I think Tennessee's going to take care of business against Wofford here. Does anybody want to make the case for Wofford going against the Rocky Top Tennessee over there?
No.
No, absolutely not. Okay, now we'll get into the matchups that really are probably going to be a little bit more decisive, I would say. Gonzaga and Georgia, of all the 8-9 matchups, I think I feel the most comfortable about Gonzaga here. Blake, you rolling with the Zags here? They've made it to the Sweet 16 for quite a few years in a row now.
Yeah, Miss Georgia. Both these teams are kind of weak. I'm not going to lie to you. Georgia's not at home, so they're not getting the 50 free throws like they did during their SEC play. So, yeah, give me Gonzaga. I think Nimhard's going to have a really big game. But Graham Ike versus Asa Newell, I think that's going to be a fun matchup, honestly. But Brandy, give me Gonzaga.
Brandy, do you want to make the case for Georgia?
No, I'm good here. I actually do think that's going to be a very fun game. Athleticism from Georgia, and Silas Demery is playing some pretty good basketball right now. But Mark Few in March, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, it's hard to bet against him in March. He's got a safe track record. But moving into the 5-12s, Clemson versus McNeese, I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. McNeese is getting this done. This is a bad draw for Clemson. Blake, what do you think?
Give me McNeese in this one. I do think this is a game that, I think this is a game that could be an upset. But I mean, you can't bet against Will Wade. This dude is a genius, and I mean, with Khan, the student manager, with him blown up like we've seen, literally, the Aura-Con, the Aura.
The
Aura-Con. I think he, just him as a person is probably a lot of fun to be around. Granted, he's not on the team that really adds nothing to this conversation, but I do think McNeese has the talent to win. And Will Wade, I don't know why he wasn't in contention for some of these better jobs. Well, I do know because of the BS about NIL, blah blah blah. But I mean, he's still like a top 5 to 10 coach in college basketball when he's able to rock out, and he's been rocking out at McNeese. 27-6 this year in the Southland, a team that was pretty bad. Come on. I mean, this is a good team too. They got 4 or 5 double-digit scores right now. Sincere Parker's having a really good year. Javon Garcia is another guy having a good year. So yeah, I do think this is a game that McNeese can win.
Brandy, they were the favorable upset pick last year, and it didn't come to fruition. Do you think they're going to get it this year, though?
I am so frustrated because I like this Clemson team, and I wanted to pick them to go far, but there's a little bit of chatter about where their head coach might be headed right now. It's a little worrisome for me. I'm thinking about some of this stuff, and I got to rock with Amir. And Will Wade's just a great coach, and he's been able to have a great season for McNeese. And if anybody watched that McNeese-Bama game earlier this season, McNeese actually played really well against them and was hanging around most of that game. So yeah, this is probably going to be a super popular pick because of how their student manager's blown up, but I don't care. I'm rocking with them too.
Moving on to the 4-13 matchup. This one I think is pretty interesting. Purdue, they've been struggling lately, but they maintain a 4 seed going up against High Point. First ever bid to the dance, and they've been impressive in doing so. Brandy, I think there's a recipe for a 4-13 upset here.
Man, maybe. I think I got to stick with Purdue. I think Braden Smith will lock in here, but I don't know, there's some rumors about Braden Smith out there that have been circulating the interwebs too. So now that I just said that,
There's some rumors that we'll put it that way.
you know what? Actually, I know they went to the national championship game last year, but we know what happened the year before, and they don't have Zach Edey anymore. And I always have to pick one team off of just like pure vibes. So screw it. I'll stick with you on High Point.
I was going with High Point too, baby. They're moving on. Blake, do you like our High Point pick?
Oh man, the one time I want to give my flowers to the Boilermakers is the one time that the field goes against me. Sorry, Purdue. I don't have anything to do with this. The
High Point propaganda.
This is insane.
Don't let him lie to you. He was laughing about the Braden Smith stuff.
No.
Let's go High Point. Okay. I think they get it done, seriously, though. Purdue, I don't like the way that they're playing, but we'll move on.
Purdue's mid, but I'm still taking them over High Point.
Hey, we haven't picked a 4 versus 13 upset yet. We got to have one somewhere.
Guys.
There's one that's bound to happen. I think this is where it happens. I think this is a safe bet, but Illinois versus the winner of Texas and Xavier. Guys, I'm going to be honest here. I think that whoever wins that play-in game is beating Illinois. Blake, I don't know what you think, but Illinois, they're just so hard to read. I mean, one game they come out and they look like a really star-studded team that can compete with anybody, and then the next game they come out and they put up a stinker. So I think that inconsistency might come back to bite them, and personally, I want to see Texas get into this spot and pull off the upset because I think seeing a young talent like Trey Johnson who can get buckets at will would be good for the sport. And even if it's Xavier coming out too, I think that whoever comes out is going to beat Illinois.
Yeah, I think the same thing, to be honest with you. I mean, Zach Freeman has been really good all year for Xavier. Ryan Conwell, super underrated player. So if it's Xavier, I do think Xavier is winning. Texas, Trey Johnson, unbelievable scorer. I think he's like setting SEC freshman records, isn't he? At least for the Texas side. So, yeah. And then you got Tremont Mark as well, proven college player, has done really well recently. So, yeah, either way, I think Illinois is going down in this one because ever since they had the illness stretch, they've sucked. Like, they've been really hot, cold, extremely cold, semi-hot, I guess, or lukewarm, I guess you could say. And I don't think that's going to fare out well for them when you're going into a tournament of the 64 best teams in the country. So, yeah, give me Texas or Xavier.
Brandy, what do you think about this matchup? Obviously, you know where we're headed for this one, but do you agree with our line of thinking on this one?
Yeah, I literally was going to say the same thing. We always have a play-in team that finds a way to get a win out, and I think it's going to be one of either Texas or Xavier, whoever wins that. I think Illinois is a little bit overseeded. I'm surprised that they were sick. Yeah, they've kind of fallen off, and I feel like I guess they played a tougher non-conference schedule, but they didn't really have any wins to me that were like put them over a hump. So I was very shocked to see them be a 6 seed. I thought that was high, and I was high on this Illinois team, but their, I guess, level of age or lack of experience rather has been starting to show lately. So I'm with you guys. I really think if Texas comes out of that Texas Xavier game, that Trey Johnson can kind of do something special in March.
I could see the vision for that. Moving on, the 3-14 game, Kentucky versus Troy. I will be on pins and needles because I need to see Kentucky get out of the first round. The last couple struggles, obviously last year against Oakland and then 2022 against St. Peter's. Year before that, only getting to the round of 32. Yeah, this is going to be a nervous March for me, guys. But Brandy, I'll start with you. Does Kentucky get over the first round hump?
Oh, man.
Tayton Connerway's legit, by the way, for Troy.
He is Sun Belt Player of the Year. He's awesome. And shout out Troy, right down the road from where I grew up. I'll go Kentucky. I'll save what I think about this Kentucky team until we talk about the next matchup, but they probably get it done against this Troy team.
Okay, Blake, do you think Kentucky gets it done here?
Well, I mean, if you're looking at my hat, you probably gonna guess my answer. Yeah, I think Kentucky gets it done. Trying to be as non-biased as possible, but yeah, I do think Kentucky's just a better team in general. And I mean, in this tournament, you can't really look at like quad one wins and like fare that against these other teams. But I mean, early in the year, Troy faced off against like Arkansas, Oregon, Houston, three solid teams and got absolutely obliterated. All three are tourney teams as well. I think they lost by like 16 plus in all those games. So uh, Kentucky, they're battling injuries. Lamont Butler, he's got the green light to go in the first round game here. They don't have Jackson Robinson or Kerr Kriisa still. They're both out for the year, but I mean, I do think this team's good enough to make a kind of deep run here, and at
Yeah,
least their side of the bracket.
if Lamont wasn't going to be healthy for this Troy game, I may have made a case for Troy here, but I think that if you can keep him, that's enough good at least for one round. Now moving into the second round, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think Kentucky gets it done here. Hopefully, my words don't come back to bite me here. But UCLA and Utah State in the 7 versus 10 matchup. I haven't been a fan of this UCLA team all season long, so I'm going to go ahead and say it. Utah State's my pick here. Blake, what do you think?
I agree. Utah State probably the better team on paper. UCLA, I mean, they've been really, really mediocre at times. They've been, yeah, mediocre at times. And I think this Utah State team has the talent to be able to, I guess, shock people. I don't even know if I would call it shock because 7-10 games are always really um, good, I feel like. So, yeah, give me Utah State in this one.
Brandy, what about you?
I don't like either of these teams, if I'm being honest.
Mhm.
I was gonna go UCLA here. I really don't like either of them. I guess Utah State, just because I liked watching them at the beginning of the season, and that's the only reason. I don't really like UCLA, and I don't like the stuff that's happened this season with what Cronin said, and just all over the place. Yeah, I don't love it. I think Tennessee got a really favorable draw in this bracket.
Yeah, they definitely did. I think I agree with that sentiment completely. But Houston versus Gonzaga, does the Sweet 16 run end here for Mark Few? He's obviously been very consistent over the last couple of years, and he could pose a threat to Houston in this matchup, Brandy. But I don't think they're going to have enough to get past this Houston team that I think is a national title contender.
I don't think so either. My only worry is like Mark Few's streak of going to a Sweet 16 9 seasons straight. And we haven't picked a 1 seed at all in this bracket yet to go down. So Houston's playing great ball. I think they're a national championship type of team, but they haven't lost very recently, and that concerns me. I know it's weird. We always say getting hot at the right time is important, but I think also you don't have to lose one, but I almost feel like statistically from a math standpoint. I'll still rock with Houston here because I think I've been pretty high on them on this podcast like all season long. Talked about how they finally figured it out offensively to match that elite defense. So I'll rock with them for now.
Fair enough. Blake, do you think that Gonzaga pulls off a stunner here?
No, I don't, to be honest with you. I'm not a fan of this Gonzaga team. And Houston is just, they're a different animal right now. I really like Milos Uzan. I think he's shaping up to be one of the better guards in the Big 12 and probably the entire country. So, yeah, give me Houston. Gonzaga's been really mediocre as well. Like I said about UCLA and Baylor, Gonzaga and Baylor played each other early in the year. It's not really adding anything to this game, but just mid all around. And I think Houston is a far better team.
Yeah, fair enough. McNeese High Point, I assume we're all going to go with Mr. Aura to go through here.
Got to.
Yeah.
It seems like a pretty safe bet. If this is the
matchup. McNeese High Point in the second round is such a crazy matchup, though.
Voices in
That's awesome.
That would be an awesome matchup. Everybody's with McNeese on that one. Now, Brandy, I'll let you take away this one. The winner of Texas versus Xavier, going up against Kentucky in the second round. Do you think this is where UK bows out of the tournament?
Yeah, I do. UK is just too banged up right now and don't have enough defense to stop a team, I don't think. I worry about their depth a lot, and Mark Pope hasn't won a game in the tournament yet, so I'm not really sure this team it has it in them to win. And we always see kind of a Cinderella story from a play-in team, and I think that happens in this side of the bracket because I think this Midwest region is kind of the chaos region.
The chaos region, yeah, I could see that being the case. Blake, do you think Kentucky takes care of business here?
Yeah, I do. I mean, Texas, they lost to them, but it was on the road. And I'm not trying to put any bad voodoo in the air, but if Lamont goes down again, in that first round game, or he somehow can't go for that second round game, hypothetically against Texas here in this spot, maybe we could see Kentucky going 0-2. But I'm going to stick to my guns and just go with Kentucky here, no matter who they play. I just think they're obviously a better team on paper. I mean, Ryan Conwell, no matter if Lamont Butler is healthy or not, is going to be a hard guard. Zach Freemantle is going to be a fairly hard guard as well. I still think Kentucky's better, though, to be honest with you guys. So give me Kentucky and whoever they play in this game.
Assuming Lamont's healthy, I think UK is good for a Sweet 16 run. Beyond that, I don't know. So I'm just going to go with UK here. I'll lock them in. I think Sweet 16 is the ceiling for this group. Beyond that, it's really hard to bet. If Jackson Robinson was playing, this might be a different story with where their potential could be at. But, yeah, I think Kentucky's good enough for at least a Sweet 16 here, although Pope does need to get a tournament win under his belt because that cloud has been kind of hanging under his head for a little bit now. But Tennessee versus Utah State, does anyone want to go with Utah State here?
No, give me Tennessee.
Brandy, yeah, Tennessee. Okay,
oh my gosh. Imagine getting a Kentucky
Sweet 16.
My
Lord.
As a Kentucky fan, I don't know if my nerves would allow me to watch that game. So we'll see what happens. That would be an incredible environment there in Indianapolis, I believe, would be the site of this one.
Yep.
Houston and McNeese, I think the storybook season comes to an end here, and Will Wade goes on to NC State. Anybody agree with me there?
Yep. I think that's bound to happen at this point. More funds for him. Probably just a better spot all around for him to compete in the ACC.
Brandy, do you want to make the case for McNeese before we move on?
No.
No, it ends there. The road.
Yeah, I really
there.
don't think it matters who comes out of this part of it. I do think Houston's going to make the Final Four.
Okay, now this is going to set up an epic battle in the Sweet 16. Kentucky, they've got Tennessee twice this year. Both times they were undermanned, and this is a very intriguing setup. It's hard to beat a team 3 times. Brandy, I have a feeling you're going to go with Tennessee here, aren't you?
Yeah, I got to go with Tennessee here. I actually really like what I saw from them this week in the SEC tournament. I think their offense has gotten better throughout the last couple of weeks, and their defense continues to play well. Do worry a little bit about officiating because they play physical and won't be able to use their style to their advantage as much in the NCAA tournament. But Zakai, I think, is playing some of the best basketball of his career right now, even though I'm not a Zakai Ziegler fan per se. And I think Chaz Lanier really has stepped it up towards the back half of the season, which has been really important for them. But Akpara is going to have to stay out of foul trouble, and so is Chaz and a couple other people that have fouled out in their last few games. So I think Meshack fouled out today too. Yeah, I got to go with Tennessee here. I don't think they're going to end up playing Kentucky, but
fair enough. Tennessee moves on, and I think that Tennessee gets it done here too. As much as I hate to say it, I'm forcing them through. Blake, what do you think about UK Tennessee Part 3? You think the Wildcats would snag it?
No, I think Tennessee's going to win that game.
Yeah.
Hurts me to say that as a Kentucky enthusiast, but I think Chaz Lanier would get the upper hand in this one. Zakai Ziegler has as much experience as any guard in the country right now, so I do think he'd have an edge.
All right, Blake, I'll keep it with you then. Who's going to the Final Four out of the Midwest? Houston, or does Tennessee finally break their streak and make their first Final Four ever?
Man, that's even harder. Man, I don't know who. Give me reluctantly, give me Houston. Uh, I don't know. I don't really have like a true reason, and that's just my gut feeling. I mean, both these teams
And
are like super elite defensively. Uh, and yeah, just give me Houston in this one.
Brandy, what do you think? Does Tennessee finally get to the Final Four, or is this Houston's year to break through?
I think this is Houston's year to break through. I just don't. I don't see it happening for Tennessee. I think that the matchup favors Houston here from it's going to be like two defensive battles. This would be like a massive rock fight the whole time. And I think Houston's a tad scrappier than Tennessee on the defensive side of the ball. And Tugler to me would be the best player on the floor on that from that perspective. So I'll go Houston here and look at how chalky our Final Four is.
Yeah, that's what I was about to get into. I think Houston would win that as well. I think Kelvin Sampson's due. This is the year that he gets to the Final Four, and I think there's a possibility they cut down the nets